Hello everybody, Brad here today and welcome back to Project Hospital. So we've got another tutorial video for you guys today and it's all around hospitalization. And it's all around how you enable hospitalization in your clinics, in your hospitals. So again, this is something that I think people, especially when they're first playing the game, are struggling with. I definitely struggled with it when I first played the game, and I want to give you a bit of a walkthrough of what I think about when I'm going through my hospitalization stage. So we'll go through kind of what is it, how do you unlock it, what rooms do you need, what staff do you need, what the workflow looks like of the patients, you know, how do the patients ultimately get to the hospitalization stage of their visit to your hospital. And then at the end we'll just go through a couple of kind of tips and tricks. So firstly, what is it and how do you unlock it? So hospitalization is basically hospitalizing your patients. So instead of a patient coming to a clinic, hopefully then getting a diagnosis, hopefully a correct diagnosis, and then leaving your hospital, hospitalization is all about keeping your patient in, and it's keeping your patient in either for more complex and exploratory diagnostics. So if a doctor or a nurse isn't sure what's wrong with your patient, they can hospitalize that patient and then they can have a look, do some more complex tests, do some tests that take longer, keep you in overnight, and maybe see how then you feel in the morning. And then sometimes it can be about if you've treated a patient, or if you think you've treated a patient, it's about keeping that person inside the hospital just in case that treatment maybe doesn't go to plan. You know, something might happen over the course of the night that actually then they have to have a bit more of an in-depth look at that patient and have a look at what that treatment plan means. So those, to me, that's what hospitalization means to me anyway. It might mean something different to you. And how do you unlock it? So you unlock hospitalization by completing some objectives. So you have to have an emergency clinic, then you have to have a specialised clinic. So here we've got the general surgery. This is our clinic here, and we've got a few, like a staff room, a toilet and a cleaner closet over here. And that's the start of a specialised department. You then unlock hospitalisation, which when you're in a specialised department, you can see on this right hand side here. So this is the clinic, just here on the left, and then on the right you've got the hospitalisation. And you unlock this by treating a patient in your specialised clinic. That unlocks hospitalisation for you. So if we have a quick look at this, it's currently got a red warning triangle. That means hospitalisation is not currently available or open, should I say, for our general surgery department. And that's because we do not have the rooms and we do not have the staff in the day or the night. That's because there's a warning triangle by each of these. If we had staff in the day, this warning triangle would go away and it'd be a nice green tick like over here in our clinic. So let's move on and we'll now talk about what rooms do you need for hospitalisation. Right, we're over here in this lovely big space just here. Hospitalisation generally for most departments requires quite large rooms. So you need a nice big space, and these often occur on the second level. So make sure you have space for your elevators. And what I'll do is up here, I'm going to place an elevator here. So you come into reception, up the elevator, and then up to general surgery. So what rooms do we need for hospitalisation? And I'm going to talk about it in terms of general surgery, okay? Because ultimately it changes a little bit from different specialised departments. So that's general surgery there on the right, hospitalisation. Then you can look at intensive care, which actually we haven't unlocked yet. But even emergency, it does look different, okay? So we're going to talk about this from a specialised department, because if I go through general surgery, internal medicine, orthopaedics and neurology, they're quite different. There are rooms that are similar in those departments. So let's talk about from a specialised department perspective. Okay, so let's go to general surgery. So as you can see, we need the rooms here with the red zeros next to them. So we need an on-call room. So this is our doctor's office kind of thing. You know, this is where the doctors sit, and this is where they have their computers and stuff like that. Then there's a nurse's station. So again, it's similar for a nurse. So this is where all the nurses sit. That's where they have their computers. It's where they keep the food trolleys to go around in the wards, etc. Then we need a diagnostic unit. This is where doctors can bring patients to do a little bit more thorough examinations, more tests, more procedures for hospitalised patients, okay? So those patients do not go back to our doctor's offices in our clinics, these here. They go to these diagnostic units. Then we have a regular ward. So this is where a regular priority patient will be housed and hospitalised. Then we have the high dependency unit. This is where patients with a bit more of a higher priority, this is where they are hospitalised. It means they get more regular checkups and a little bit more medical care. So the nurses have a few more checkups on these patients in the high dependency unit. So let's go ahead and start thinking about layouts. Now you could always go into here, building mode, prefabs, general surgery, and get out these prefabricated rooms for general surgery. So this is the on-call room, for example. Or you could do something a bit different and do the rooms yourselves. So I think here it would be nice to do a bit of a mixture. So let's get in. So this is the large one, then we have a smaller one. So let's go for the smaller one. We'll get that in somewhere like there. Then we'll go for the smaller nurses station and we'll get that one in there. And knowing something about the wards, so the prefabricated wards are pretty small. So like this one, the biggest one only houses 4 beds. And the high dependency unit, again, 4 beds. So let's build our own wards. Now, we're also going to have to think of space for our operating theatre. So that's something that we can also think about to kind of include in this area when we think about sizes of rooms. So let's go. I sometimes like to mix my high dependency and regular wards together. So I'm going to go to an interesting sized room and I'm going to say that kind of from maybe here we might start thinking about a high dependency unit. So I'll put those walls in just as a marker. So what I tend to do is go to management mode. I tend to then get out my rooms. So let's say that's a high dependency unit. And then the rest of this space is then going to be used as a regular ward because these rooms are big, guys, yeah? You need these rooms to be large. If you do sort of a room this size, a regular ward, you are very, very quickly going to be running out of space, okay? So then let's go into construction mode and we're just going to get out some doors. So let's say you get into the high dependency unit like that and you get into the regular ward there. Right, now you need to go into these rooms. And I like to keep the beds for these rooms separated, okay? And I'll show you what I mean by that. So let's get in a hospital bed on this wall just here. And for that we need a life monitor, because that was blue. And a bedside cabinet, again also blue like that. And I like to get in the bed socket. Now the bed socket is optional, you do not have to have it, but I like to put them in. And then let's also get a defibrillator just here on the wall. So that's all I need for my high dependency ward to function. However, it's a bit boring and there's not a lot of items in there, so it looks a little bit empty, doesn't it? So let's get a wall, and we're going to get this wall to come in here, 2 spaces. Then we're going to say that we actually want a chair. So we're going to get a normal chair in blue, rotate that using R. Then we're going to get in a coffee table with a little flower on, and that's going to be the kind of basic for my high dependency unit units. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to prefabs and I'm actually going to copy this. So prefabs, down here copy create a prefab, and I'm going to copy that space. Now that luckily fits in lovely jubbly there, so I'm going to turn that around and do the same there, and I'm going to say please get rid of that window there. I need to do a little bit of painting just to touch that up, like so. Then here you can do whatever you want. You know, we could put in maybe the stainless steel stand, maybe with the TV on top so people can watch TV if they want. We can get in an oxygen tank, and we could get in, I don't know, maybe a mobile cabinet. So you can get in all these little bits just to make it look a little bit more realistic. But I like to have my beds in kind of little separate units, so they're separated off, okay? And it also adds a bit of privacy, doesn't it? You know, just so the patient is in direct view to the person next to them. Okay, so that's a high dependency unit. That's all we need for that room to work. Now we're going to go in here and do pretty much the same for our regular ward. So I'm going to go in I'm going to copy this. I'm going to place this there. However, you do not need a life monitor for regular ward. So you need a life monitor in the high dependency unit, but you do not need a life monitor for the regular ward. And because we're in a ward, we're going to need a defibrillator. We'll place that one there. Then we can basically go in, we can copy this, and then we can just pop these all down this wall, just like that. That one there, we'll amend that one. Okay, so let's make this nice and big. What we'll do is we'll delete that one there, and we will move that one to there, and then we can have that as a bit of space. Then we'll just pop these up this side of the room. And then I'm actually just going to delete that wall. I'll place those back. So that's a bit of a bigger one just there. That's a very, very basic ward. You could do all sorts. In the middle you could go with like maybe a couple of sofas so people can chill out. You could get some cabinets in. You could get in a radio and I don't know, maybe a mug. You know, you can do all sorts here, guys, and it's completely up to you, but that's the basics of a ward. Obviously, we'll probably want to delete those windows that are facing the outside, well, the interior of the hospital. There's some windows here that have doubled up, okay? So that's the very basics of a ward. So if we go into management mode, we can see what we've done. So we've got an on-call room, we've got a nurse's station. We have not got a diagnostic unit. The minimum room size for a diagnostic unit is 4x4, so they can be quite small rooms. Here, how much space? I've got 10 tiles there, so let's do 2 rooms, 5 tiles each. Then we'll get in a couple of doors or windows, and we're going to say that these are both going to be diagnostic units, like that. Then we can go into each room and then place down all of our items. And then to copy this room, all I have to do is go to prefabs, copy and create, and then just copy that and place that into this room just here. I'll just delete that extra door, and there we go. We've got 2 of the same room ready to rock and roll. So it's also important to remember to place your corridors down. So let's go all the way up there. That's going to be a big corridor. Then I'm going to have this space here is all corridor as well. And down there, down that sort of bridge space. So that's the basics of rooms. Now staff, this is where it gets expensive. Staff for hospitalization are generally pretty expensive, especially when you start getting into the surgeons, the sort of excellent doctors at diagnosis. They're very, very expensive to hire. So let's go around and we'll see what we need. You can see that general surgery is still flashing at me. This means it's still not ready to open this department. So these are all of the positions that we have to fill. So let's first go to our doctors. So we need 3 doctors, one of which needs to be a surgeon. We need 2 surgery nurses, an anaesthetologist, and 3 nurses. So doctors, let's get 3 doctors with 1 being a surgeon. So let's get in, we'll get in Patricia Hill because she's very good at diagnosis and she's good at anaesthetology. So she's in. Then we'll get someone that's good at surgery. So maybe someone like Lisa Taylor here, she's very good. And then 1 more doctor for the day. So let's go for someone, let's go for Jordan Lewis because we need someone to assist at surgery. And I'm going to get 1 more doctor that just goes around and does diagnosis. I'll explain that in a bit more detail in a second. And at night we just need 1 doctor. So we're going to get 1 doctor who again is good at diagnosis. They're more of a diagnosis driven doctor. So Thomas Foster's here good, and he's also he works more efficiently at night. So this doctor's done. So we'll go over to nurses and then we'll explain how I would prioritise their tasks. So nurses, we need 3 nurses, 2 of which need to be surgery nurses. So let's come in, let's get Lisa Rodriguez, she's a surgery nurse. We'll get in Elizabeth because she's good at kind of being a clinical nurse. And then we'll get 1 more. who's getting medical surgery. Let's get in Patricia Green. Then at night, I'm going to go for 2 nurses at night. One that's good at clinical care, and then I'd like an intern, a cheap intern. Right, now the tasks. So to separate the tasks that doctors and nurses, any staff actually do, you just click on them and this brings up their profile. Now down here it has their allowed roles. So I like, especially in general surgery and kind of a standard specialised department, I like to have one person at night who just does transfers. Okay, so here this is going to be Patricia at night. So she's good at patient care, but she hasn't got any specialised skills. So I'm going to say you do not do patient care, you just do patient transfer. So you just wheel people about on their stretchers, which we have to get into our corridors in a moment. That's your one role. Now, James King at night, I want him to do the opposite. I want him to do everything but patient transfer. So you just really focus on caring for the patients, James. Then in the day, I'm going to have these guys currently on what they are at the moment. So that's absolutely fine. That's good. Doctors. So over here, I'm going to say that Patricia Hill, she just does anaesthetology at surgery. Who's the best at surgery here? Lisa Taylor just does surgeries. And that's probably it. Then the others are okay. I would like you to do more assisting at surgery rather than actually doing the surgery. But that's quite important. That means it just... Sometimes what happens if you don't have enough doctors and nurses available with surgery skills, you don't have many operations taking place. Obviously we haven't even got an operating room at the moment. That's still something that we need to do. But if you have got the operating room, which is a shared room by the way, so it can be used by multiple departments, if you don't have enough doctors and if you don't have enough doctors and nurses, it does mean that sometimes you haven't got enough time in the day to get those surgeries done. So that's something important. While I remember, let's go around and we're just going to add a few stretchers to these corridors, just so there's plenty around if they need them. So that's our rooms and staff done. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go upstairs now. We'll add a new floor and then we'll add in that all special exciting room, the operating theatre. Okay, a brand new floor. So now let's have a look at the operating theatre, and we're going to get this in just over here. So I'll show you the prefab first. Operating room. So this is the prefab and it's very nice. So we'll get that in and we'll kind of just show you a few bits about it, especially if you're going to be building it yourselves. So the operating theatre, I do quite like to have this little kind of washroom here. It just means that your doctors have a separate area to scrub up or scrub down, and it keeps it nice and separate away from the actual operating theatre. Just be careful when you're building this room because it's very expensive, and that's something I wanted to talk about now, is the money. It's very hard to play this game effectively without spending lots of money, right? I think it's quite realistic. You know, hospitals, they're not cheap to build. And it's something to keep in mind, especially with hospitalization, because these rooms are expensive. You know, they require a lot of beds and they're very expensive. The diagnostic units are very expensive and the staff are very expensive, and the operating theatre is very expensive. So it's just a little bit of a warning just to say, just be careful, make sure you have enough money. Okay, so seeing the workflow of patients, so if you go to departments, this button just down here, and if you go to the dependency tree, this shows you the workflow. So here's hospitalization here. So this is the same for general surgery, internal medicine, orthopedic, cardiology and neurology. Okay, so you might get a patient come in here to your specialised clinic, for example your general surgery clinic. They'll go through reception and waiting room in a doctor's office, and then if they have to be hospitalised, they will go to either the regular ward or the high dependency unit, okay? And then they go for different tests like the sonography unit, the neuro exam unit in neurology, the cardiography unit in cardiology, and this can also go via the diagnostic unit and the operating room. You also might get patients coming in to your emergency clinic, okay? So they might come in here and then actually be transferred to your general surgery, clinic and or hospitalisation. You might get patients coming in via your ambulances if you have ambulances, so they're immobile, they're coming through the trauma centre, then they actually might come into hospitalisation directly. So that's workflow sort of summed up very quickly. This is how patients kind of move around your hospital. Just a few little tips and tricks and then it'll be the end of the video. So my first kind of tip is to build quite large wards, or at least build a ward that's next to a large area space. So you could be on a floor like this, for example, build a ward like here, a little ward, but then make sure you have loads of space to expand, okay? Because you will find that lots of patients need to come into these hospitalised wards. Tip number 2 would be money. Just keep an eye on your money, make sure you have enough money to build a hospitalised department, make sure you have enough money to build these expensive rooms like the operating theatre and the diagnostic units. And my last tip, tip number 3, make sure you have diagnostic power behind you. And what I mean by that is make sure you have some radiology rooms. For example, here we have the X-ray room and the MRI. Make sure you have lots of labs. So for example, here in this hospital we've only got the haematology lab. Make sure you have all of them. Make sure you have histology and microbiology. It means that when patients get up to your general surgery or any other specialised department clinic, they have had lots of diagnostic tests happen before they get to this point, okay? A problem that I see a lot, and I've done it myself so many times, is I rush to build this hospitalisation aspect of my hospital. I neglect my radiology and my medical labs, and it means there's not enough diagnostic information coming to me as a doctor, if I'm in doctor mode for example, to then fully assess the patient, okay? And because these departments are so expensive to build, it means you then haven't got enough money for a long time to build these other really important but expensive rooms like X-ray, MRI, haematology, CAT scan, CAG scan. So make sure you've got plenty of money and you build these kind of first line diagnostic buildings like the X-ray and the laboratories, okay? So guys, I really hope that's helped you understand hospitalisation a little bit better and how to build a hospitalisation department effectively in Project Hospital. Please let me know down below in the comments if you'd like to see any more of these tutorial videos and tip videos. Let me know if I've missed something, and if you think, oh, I think he's missed this, let me know. You know, I'm not gonna go away and cry. Just let me know, and I really hope, most importantly, that helps you with your game. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later. Thank you very much for watching the video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel down below if you haven't done so already. And please feel free to follow me on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Have a great day. See you later.